killing me. What? Can everybody go that way? I'm going this way. Thank you. One. Good afternoon. It is February 12th, 2024. Thank you so much for joining us here for BCTV's Council Countdown. As always, my name is Hannah Nichols, Public Information Officer with Beaufort County, and today I am joined by Mary Lee Carnes and Laura Dukes from Technical College of the Lowcountry, who are here to give a special presentation today about our partnership.
Hannah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so I'm Mary Lee, and my role at the college is I serve as the Vice President for Advancement and Workforce Development at the Technical College of the Lowcountry. And we're here to talk about a project that has been a priority since 2016.
Oh, wow.
And that is the Regional Workforce Training Center on our Bluffton New River campus. And that would expand our opportunity to provide more workforce training programs to the citizens of Beaufort County, Jasper County, Hampton County, and Colleton County, as well as serve more citizens, contribute to the economic development of our area. And last year, we got $10 million from the state of South Carolina to go towards construction. And we're going to talk today about Beaufort County participating and helping us meet the balance, which is an additional $10 million.
Oh, wow. But what an incredible needed program for our area.
It really is. You know, as a college, we have a dual client mission, and that is one to students, to educate students, help them earn higher incomes, more family sustaining futures, but also to the business community to provide that workforce for business retention expansion and for new business development. But important to that is working with our community to understand what programs are needed now and emerging into the future. And my colleague, Laura Dukes, oversees that.
Yes, and it's an exciting time for us at TCL because as we look at some expanding horizons with regard to what we can offer at the Workforce Training Center, I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs, and part of my job is to see into the future and look at what we need. And so we're looking at the Regional Workforce Center as kind of being focused on three prongs. One is our CPT cyber prong, which is our IT. We have an expanding cybersecurity program. We're looking at robotics. We're looking at AI, obviously, as it's the next wave of the future that we all need to learn how to use. We're also looking in our industrial technologies, our HVAC programs, commercial refrigeration, mechanical engineering, cuts across a whole lot of different areas, as well as advanced manufacturing, because we have a lot of manufacturing coming to the Lowcountry. So we want to be on top of that and providing our students and our community with training so that they can go forward down those pathways. And finally, business and accounting. We are seeing a big surge in our enrollment in those areas. As people want to become entrepreneurs, they need to have a legal background in order to see what they have to accomplish. We have a logistics program that's taking off because as we look at supply chain and logistics, it's very important considering how well we are placed between the two ports. And that's just a few of the programs that we're looking at developing and expanding as we go forward with this exciting project.
That sounds amazing. And it sounds like it has such a greater impact beyond Beaufort County, just into our entire region.
Absolutely.
It definitely does. And, given this opportunity, on behalf of the college, Laura and I really want to express our gratitude to Beaufort County and Beaufort County leadership. And our citizens should know that Beaufort County leadership is unique in the state in how they support education and workforce training here in Beaufort County, which, as you just pointed out, goes beyond our borders. It helps our neighbors. But Beaufort County's support of the Technical College of the Lowcountry, the area's community college, and USCB is exceptional. And I know on behalf of both our institutions, we are very grateful for that support.
Well, we're glad to have you here today. If you could name maybe one big challenge that you guys face in workforce education, what would it be?
We could probably both answer that.
Yeah.
I want to say our facilities, which is why we're here now. We need to expand our programs. We need the facilities to do that. We can't serve those student citizens or the businesses that the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation is hoping to bring into our areas unless we can provide that workforce, not in theory, but so they can come in and see it, smell it, touch it, and see it in action. So facility expansion would be, would be my answer to that.
Yeah, I totally agree, because wrapped up in that concept is the equipment that we need. For example, we have a state-of-the-art cybersecurity program right now in our Beaufort location on the Mather campus, and we are seeking to expand that. And it requires very powerful computers, as well as a securities operations center to go forward. So this provides us with the space to do it and the resources to get that equipped the way it needs to be for our students in the future.
Well, that sounds incredible. I thank you both so much for your time and being here. Again, this is Mary Lee and Laura with Technical College of the Lowcountry, and it looks like we're getting ready to start the meeting, so I will let you guys get back to it. But thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. The clock in the back is a minute off, so we're going to start. If everyone could have a seat. We're ready to start.
Absolutely.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Community Services and Land Use Committee to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. And please confirm, Ms. Brock.
Yes, ma'am, it has.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I have a second.
I'll second it. Okay.
Without objection, the agenda is approved. We had several minutes, November 13th, November 23rd, and a December 11th special call meeting. If everyone has had a chance to review those, could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion. They were seriously tedious to review. But
There were a lot of them.
Yeah, there's one.
A second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Without objection, the minutes from those three meetings are approved. We have a 15-minute citizen comment period. Do we have any citizens signed up? Okay. Moving right along then. Today we have two reports. One from Chuck Atkinson, who's going to defer to Mr. Davis for a report. And then Audra has Fred's department to report, correct? Fred Lightus. So we'll start with Mr. Atkinson.
Great, good afternoon, thank you. So as we have been discussing, our Green Space Committee has been up and running for about 4 months now. We've been doing collections since last June, and everything is going quite well. But as promised, we're going to give often updates as it relates to the activities. We take quarterly applications, we process those in a predetermined, very timely manner, and we just wanted to give you an update of where we are with those projects and with the fee collection. So I'm going to invite Mark, who's our Deputy Planning Director, to come up, and he's going to share that information with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, to build off Chuck, yes, we are in what we call our second cycle. And if you recall at the December meeting, you all approved due diligence and negotiations on our first round of applications. We had those. Those have moved through the process, and we are currently working on that with those applicants. So those are applications at one stage from that application cycle. We recently had a deadline of January 31st, so this would technically be our second application cycle for the program. Those applications are currently under review by staff for what we call completeness checks. And then we would inform the applicant if the application is deemed complete or incomplete. And then the applicant has 10 days to rectify the missing information. If we have a complete application, that application will be placed on the next Green Space Advisory Committee agenda, which will take place on March 4th, and that's at 2:30 here. We would anticipate, as these things kind of move forward, those applications that we hear in March, again, you kind of see the cycles as we kind of run through them. They'll then come to this committee, again, for anything that's recommended for due diligence and negotiations, or just the applications in general, whether they are or they're not, for staff to continue in that due diligence, or to expend those funds. That's the authority that you all have. We don't do that until you give us that authority. So those March 4th applications, we'll bring them to you as a recommendation from the Green Space Advisory Committee, and then you would then decide whether or not as a committee you want to green light us to further staff time and to expend green space funds on doing any necessary due diligence. So that would be like a cycle, like what you did at the December meeting for those applications. And that would just kind of what Chuck was saying in the quarterly process. I'm trying to show you, like, that's how the cycle works, quarters, and they kind of go through. But then in between all of that, there's constantly going to be the applications. Some of them can go quicker. Some of them will take longer based off of the amount of due diligence, how well the applicants themselves are working possibly with landowners, getting us information, working with consultants. So through those processes, we're just kind of working through them. So those kind of just go at the pace of how those applications work. And lots of times that might be dictated in how good the application came in the first place and the amount of information that staff had at that time. So I can take any questions of that, or I can jump right into what I would call the fun information, and that's how much money the program has generated.
Let's take the questions of that, about that process or the projects we previously
Sure.
set forward.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Just
Yes.
quickly, did you say how many applicants you received so far?
No, he
Do you
didn't.
have an end number that since we started, we received 20, 100 applicants? Did you say that?
Well, not here, but if we're saying, so we're in the second cycle. So in the first cycle, received a certain amount of applications, and those came forward to you all. You all have seen those.
And remind the group,
Oh,
remind us how many.
you had 4.
Yeah.
You had
Right.
4 applications that you approved for due diligence and for basically furthering negotiation with the applicants.
I was just wondering the total, in totality, how many applicants you received, whether they were good or bad, do you have an end number that you received since the conception of the program?
7.
7. That's all I need to know.
Well, yes, the technical answer to that would be 7 applications.
Okay.
And so the first cycle you all have seen, and this last cycle, we received 3 applications. And we're working through that process right now,
Okay.
working with the applicant to get information to deem them with a
I got it.
minimum, okay.
I just wanted to know the end number, but you gave it to me 7.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions about the applications today, or any? No? Okay, tell us the other fun
stuff.
part.
Okay, so the program, as it last reported, this is up through kind of turning into this year. So this wouldn't even include this past month, really, of January. It kind of turned with December. That I literally had to write the number on the next page because it's so big. It has generated a little over $39 million already from the time of its inception. And so I would say, if you were to look at a monthly tracking, that it is hitting expected numbers and maybe slightly more based off of the economic and that what it was generating by month. So
Any
I would say
questions?
that's good news.
Any questions about that?
Very good.
Ms. Brown showed me a receipt from a place she went in Beaufort County. It actually said green space 1 cent.
Really?
They actually spelled it out. Yeah,
Well, there you go. It's part of that number.
it was part of that.
We're gonna
39
detailed
million.
out, 6% sales, 1% green space.
Okay, any other questions? Anything else you'd like to share with us about the progress or?
Sure. I'll talk as long as you all want me to. So in the first round, we had 4 applications. So you all saw those. So maybe let's talk with those because I don't want to talk about applications that we're still kind of working on. But in those 4, then staff and the committee reconvened and we further discussed those applications, really kind of getting in the weeds about what kind of due diligence and just those types of things. And this is simply following the program that's adopted. And out of those 4, and this goes back to what I was saying about how strong something comes in when the application is, the amount of information that we have for staff to feel comfortable of where it's at. One of them came in so strong that we were able to get to a conclusion and the committee felt comfortable enough to make a recommendation to move that forward back to this committee. And that would be coming to you once we can fully get that done and working with legal services to finalize that and make sure everything is put on a nice little bow as this very first one coming to you. So out of those 4, 1 is already pushed forward. Those other 3 are kind of what we're saying is going back to reaching back out to the applicants, getting more information, furthering the conversation and the negotiations. So that was that last round of where those stand. And the newest ones that we have coming in, we would anticipate out of those 3, 2 of them have been deemed complete because we had till last Friday. The way it works is once the application cycle goes, I know just the staff has 10 days to go through all the material, see what it's missing, and then we draft very professional letters to the applicants stating your application is deemed complete, but maybe note that we notice some information applicant, please provide that back, or your application has been deemed incomplete for the following reasons. And then they have 10 days from the date of that letter to provide us that information. So that's what we're in right now. Out of those 3, 2 completes went out, 1 incomplete went out.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the first 4, the ones we sent for due diligence, what region were they from? Northeast, Southwest?
So the
I don't remember.
one of them was out of county.
Yep, I remember that one.
So that would be, the program would look at that kind of as what regions it kind of serves. 2 of them were from the southern, and 1 of them was from the northern.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Chuck, is there anything you'd like to add to or not? Thank
So I
you.
just want to reiterate the due diligence aspect of it. So as we receive these on a quarterly basis, and they are recommended for due diligence from the Green Space Committee back to this committee, once it leaves with authorization to do due diligence, it could be weeks, it could literally be months or even over a year for due diligence, depending on how many different groups are participating in a project, the scope of the project, all that stuff. So It may seem as we move forward that we're on a regular basis until it gets back to green space, and then it may take a while for some of them to come back. But it's because of the variations in the due diligence and the complexities required and the number of players that are in each application, and the funding sources and all that. But I think as we get through it, it will become more routine. But we just want to give these updates very, very regularly to let everybody, county council, plus all of the public, to know here's where we are, here's what we've collected. This is sort of the pace of what we're doing with these applications. This is what you can expect, so that there are no voids in information. We want to just keep talking about green space because it's a big deal and it's extremely important, and we're really excited about it, if you haven't noticed. So
I'd like to remind the public too, that any willing landowner, whether they're in Beaufort County or adjacent county, can apply to the program, and we have staff that will help them through the process, because I thought we'd have more applicants, to be honest, at this point. And I think those of us who have been involved with rural and critical lands thought we would have more applicants. Rural and critical lands is kind of reaching its sunset, and this is the new program, so we want to encourage people to apply. And it's all kinds of land, farmland, conservation rights, restrictive easements, all of the above can be applied for with a willing landowner to submit.
yes, ma'am. And I wouldn't want anybody to be discouraged by that number, because we are having a lot of conversations with folks outside of just receiving applications, because it is a varied program. There are a lot of moving parts in it, and there are a lot more opportunities for engagement in this program than there have been through rural and critical. So I think people are getting their head wrapped around the scope of what this program is. Our staff is available. We're willing to sit down with anybody who's interested, and we're excited about it. So
Okay.
I hope that was helpful.
Any other questions or, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes,
Quick,
Mr.
yeah, just
Councilman
quickly,
Goddard.
am I to assume that, due diligence comes out of the, penny tax?
Oh, yes, sir.
Cost. Okay.
It does. Yes, sir. And that's appraisals, surveys, environmental impact studies, things like that.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you, okay. All right, who's next, Miss Audra? You're gonna make the introductions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon. January 24th, Beaufort County participated in the HUD point-in-time count. And I have asked Anna Ramirez, she was the coordinator for the event, to come up and give each of you a brief update on how the event went.
Will she explain what that is for the public?
Yes, she will.
Okay, all right. And HUD is Housing and Urban Development.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, I'm Anna Ramirez. How are you? So the point in time count is an initiative through HUD that is a requirement in order for communities like ours to receive federal funding for programs that offer rapid rehousing or preventative services to address homelessness. We currently have 2 organizations that are benefiting from this initiative, Hope Horizons being one of them and Family Promise being the other. And we're currently working to expand that by collaboration and working with our community partners to identify who can, who does, and who will offer these programs, so that we can then leverage this participation in getting those federal dollars here to our county. As most of you know, we need them. You can see the social issue on our streets. And so the point in time count is a literal count on one night a year, where volunteers will go out into the community and they will count the individuals experiencing homelessness out that evening. Last year, we conducted the count. It was raining. We still had 68 volunteers go out with us in the rain. And we sealed a count of 65, which is amazing from a previous count of 17 amongst 7 counties. Beaufort, I believe, had a very low, maybe 1, if I'm not mistaken. Last year was 65. This year, the numbers are not back yet. I had hoped to be able to present them, but we do have preliminary observational counts of about 80, but that's 80 individuals that we interacted with. So that's not the individuals that we could not interact with because, again, it was raining this year as well. And volunteers are asked to not go out into encampments or situations that could present danger in those type of weather situations. So we did employ a different approach this year. We did a lot of word of mouth work within the 24 organizations that are part of our current Residential Empowerment Coalition. And by word of mouth, we said, hey, we're gonna do these pop-up events where if you would like to come to us, we would have gratitude gifts for you, which included toiletries, things of that nature. If you would like to come out and just have some conversation, maybe conduct a survey, it's not an obligation. We did have hot dogs. We had a good time for all intents and purposes. We were able to really just communicate with a lot of our residents that need that assistance. Other than that, like I said, the preliminary count is that again, data collection has its barriers from people that don't report that way. And then, individuals that we just can't see, access or get access to.
Are you ready for questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to open up for questions, yes.
Okay, a couple questions. Number one, is the count done at a specific time during the day?
Yes, so the count is from dusk to dawn. So we start anytime after 3 o'clock is when we kind of told everyone, hey, start getting all your stuff together. 5 o'clock, because the sun. And then we can go into the wee hours of the morning. Last year, we were out until about 2 a.m. when I could verify that all the teams were nestled safely in their homes. This year, we were out until about 1 a.m.
Okay. Homelessness has changed. So when you're doing the count, you could run into a family?
Yes.
And are they counted as individuals or as a family of one?
They're counted as individuals. The way that the survey is set up is you do the survey as a family unit, identifying all the individuals in that unit.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? How about online? Anyone online? Councilman Dawson or Councilman Rich?
I'm good, Alice.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ramirez. We appreciate that.
And thank you, guys. I mean, the overwhelming support that we have had from county council and our organization as a whole towards addressing this issue has been phenomenal, and I'm just super honored to be the person that gets to do this.
I have a question. I've always wondered why they do it in the middle of the winter and not twice a year, like when the weather's nice, like
Right.
summer or spring.
So one of the challenges we face in a rural community is that the point in time count is not structured for rural communities. And trying to get a federal government to change that is a little hard. It's created to identify sheltered and for shelters to do a count with more efficiency because of the funding that shelters would normally get. And so that's how it's kind of built. That's why they decided, hey, a very cold night in January would guarantee us the most amount of individuals in our doors. But again, in communities that are rural, that's not helpful. And that's, historically why it's a struggle for any rural community to conduct a point in time count but we've been very fortunate in having such a collaborative spirit in this county and support that we're able to push this along.
And you said the two agencies were Family Promises and Hopeful Horizons.
Yes.
And will they receive federal dollars, hopefully?
Yes.
They will, for sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, their participation for that is a requirement. And so us doing this with them supports them in those efforts as is. And now we can start talking to other organizations to see how their programs, existing programs, can also benefit from this if they can.
The volunteers, are they from all over the county or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we all know in our own community where we know the homeless are, but, I'm sure Hilton Head and Bluffton area have the same pockets. And 65 sounds really low from what we see in the in some areas. Yeah. Yes, sir, Councilman Glover.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm a very I've been with 4-H for a lot of years, so everything is by hand, visual. So help me envision the help that these agencies will be able to do with federal assistance for the homeless. And, you know, I just traveled south to a city recently, and I've seen the homeless become very creative. They used to have basically all the cardboard homes. They are actually buying those little pop-up tents and living in those and creating a little city in an area and stuff. And you know, if I was on the street, I mean, I would probably be doing the same thing. You know, I'm blessed not to be living in that, but help me understand so I can see, what do you think that can happen for the homeless when we're working with these agencies? Just give me an idea of what you see.
Absolutely. So in our last presentation, as we discussed then, we have the continuum of care process, right? So it can start from living on the street in a tent to homeownership. And in between there, there's a lot of steps that individuals can take. And so these organizations help individuals and meet them where they are. We have an organization that does absolute free credit counseling, which is a need for individuals who otherwise may not be able to rent because of the restrictions that we all are familiar with rental companies. There are agencies that can provide temporary subsidies until people get up on their feet. And then we have other organizations that can do rapid rehousing programs or initiate them that provide drug treatment, alcohol treatment programs. Transitional housing that provides case management is a good example of someone who could potentially benefit and receive that federal funding. As we're all aware, we face barriers even with that, but those are the type of services that we're able to facilitate. Now, the biggest benefit that we've experienced already through the support of even this position and your help has been that these 24 organizations are currently collaborating and meeting on a monthly basis. And we're discussing the hard cases. We're discussing the people that are sleeping on street corners and have mental health issues and how we can all get together. Local municipalities, police departments, they're all at the table now. So it is a collaborative effort that just mirrors what we know about our county anyway. And so once we get those things more stabilized, that's really where we will benefit in these initiatives and your support.
I thank you. I feel a whole lot better.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one more question, please?
Yes, sir.
Anna, Tom Reeds, how are you tonight?
I'm great.
Good, good. Listen, thanks again for being here. We appreciate it big time. Question, did you include Hilton Head on that count?
Yes.
You did. How many encampments did you find on Hilton Head?
So Hilton Head, I personally witnessed 3 separate ones.
Yes, ma'am.
When I was out kind of bouncing around between. But those were the ones that I could identify. Most of Hilton Head, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Most of the population experiencing homelessness in Hilton Head are living in vehicles, cars, working, just nowhere to live.
Okay. I've been to 1 or 2 of them, one behind Enchiladas and one by that water tower, Long Cove, Wexford, in that area. Are those the 2 that you're talking about, or were they part of that?
Those are 2 that we are aware of, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, good, because I get out there once in a while myself. I appreciate that. And listen, again, I think we talked before, engage us if there's anything we could do in our communities, like District 11 where I'm at, Ward 3 where those 2 are in particular. I'm getting to know the town council and we'll work together. So whatever we can do to help you, let us know.
No, thank you. I know that in Hilton Head's case specifically, Deepwell was the lead agency that did all of the collaborating for Hilton Head. And I believe the name, maybe Quincy, is he the housing person that was just brought onto Hilton Head? He actually volunteered and came out to also participate in the count. So we're making headway by acknowledging openly that this is a concern.
I love it. Listen, next time I please, maybe you advised me, and I overlooked it, but I'd like to be on that count with you the next time. So let me know that, and if I can help you, I'd like to do that.
Absolutely. We always welcome volunteers. We need them.
All right, fantastic. But again, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Anna, thank you. I know, church downtown that I attend, we have a blessing box and it's emptied every day. And certainly, I think it's people that need it or they wouldn't be using it. And that's just a minor not a minor, but an example of, we know there's a need out there and we really appreciate y'all's work on documenting it so that we can get these federal dollars to help us with it. So,
Thank you. And thank you for your continued support.
yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is a presentation by the Technical College of the Low Country by Dr. Goff and crew.
And crew. And crew. Good afternoon. I'm Rich Goff, president of your community college, and very lucky to be such or so. Before we began today, I walked around a bit and shook a few hands and said hello and introduced myself to a few folks that I didn't know and a few folks that I do know. And I went this way around the circle, got to Mr. Glover, and he shook my hand firmly, as he always does, looked me in the eye, and he said, I need to keep my hand on my wallet, because every time you come here, I have to be careful with my wallet. So I have two takeaways from that. One, I need to do a better job of coming to you all and talk about what good the Technical College of Low Country is doing and what good investment we are. And I think that we are doing many good things. There's so much good that's happening in our community, in our education and training. We're really, I think we're the best higher education investment in the Low Country. We do the most for the least, I believe. And today I'm going to introduce you to two people behind me. I have two vice presidents behind me, Laura, what is your name, Laura? It doesn't matter. Laura Dukes, and the other vice president is Mary Lee Carnes. And Mary Lee's going to talk to you about an initiative that's so very badly needed and a long time coming. And I know that she's going to give you a lot of good gouge. And then hopefully you'll have good questions that we can address at the end. So Mary Lee.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of council, thank you for having us. Part of this team is not only myself and Dr. Goff and Laura Dukes, who's a vice president of academic affairs, but Mr. John O'Toole, who's with us here today also. I have 6 slides. Just want to give you context. We are here, Councilman Glover, to ask for your support.
See, I knew that.
Yeah. But before we do that, we just want to give you a little bit of context as to who we are and what we do, because we can always be reminded of that. The Technical College of the Low Country has a dual client mission. Our clients are students, giving students the education that they can advance their futures by earning higher incomes, and serving the regional economy by working with groups like Beaufort County Economic Development Corp. And others to provide the workforce and training for business retention, business expansion, and new business development. I want to call attention to a couple of those slides in particular. That middle, workforce development, what you're looking at is last year's nursing graduating class. We have the largest nursing program in the area. And down at the end, my right, that is graduation last year. We graduate about 400 students annually at the most beautiful graduation venue in the country, Waterfront Park here in Beaufort.
Oh.
So a little bit more about who we are. We're very targeted. Okay, like all community colleges across the country, the Technical College of the Low Country exists to serve our local needs, to serve our local residents. 91% of our students are Low Country residents, and about 18% of those are active duty, veterans, and their dependents. In all, we have approximately 4,000 students. We're the largest institution of higher education in the area. That's in credit and non-credit workforce training. We're local, we're relevant. 94% of our graduates will go into jobs right here in our community, in northern Beaufort County and southern Beaufort County, and Hilton Head, and our surrounding counties. Total economic development. Now, this number comes from fiscal year 17-18. And our annual economic impact in dollars to the area is 130 million. That's in 17-18. And that would always be 130 million if we never changed, if we never grew. That was before the Culinary Institute of the South. Our impact is greater now. It is before the future, and we're talking about the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center in just a second. Oh, and those are two of our real students. That's Logan Morgan and Darlene Estrada, and they're both from Battery Creek High School.
And some of us know his dad.
Oh, and some of you.
That's Dan Morgan's son. Yeah, one of
Oh, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That worked GIS. Mm-hmm.
So we're here to talk today about the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center that we aim to build. We, and I say we, it's a community build. There's nothing that the college doesn't do. There's nothing we can do alone. This community built the Culinary Institute of the South, and this community will build the Regional Workforce Training Center at our Bluffton New River campus. Two perspectives of this, and if you're familiar with that campus, it's along 278, kind of next to Palmetto Electric, a little up towards Sun City from University of South Carolina Beaufort campus. That first picture shows you the aspect of where it would be. That's our existing building. And then you see kind of on the other side of the faux fountain is the proposed regional, Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center. Workforce Center impacts. So this is the Regional Workforce, Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center, kind of by the numbers. 50,000 square feet. That's over twice the size of the Culinary Institute of the South, if you've been there or familiar with that. It will give us the opportunity for 850 additional students. And when we say students, we're talking trained workforce. So that's 850 additionally trained into our workforce. It's estimated about 12% of that, or 102, will come from outside the Low Country, more specifically from the transitioning military, which has been a goal of the college, of the community, of John O'Toole and the Beaufort County Economic Development Corp, to attract and retain those transitioning military here. To sidestep into workforce. Workforce is a challenge, it's a problem nationally. It's one that's not going to go away. We need to do our best to keep our graduates here and to bring others into here. My colleague Laura Dukes, the Vice President of Academic Affairs, will talk a little bit more about this. This would give us the opportunity to 4 or more new programs. These are programs recently. Hank and John O'Toole met with the college team. We met with architects. We identified programs that are needed now to expand, but are also emerging programs. This is not the development of the Regional Workforce Training Center. It will be done with the brain trust of this community, and John O'Toole and Beaufort County Economic Development Corps are very important to that conversation. Total project cost is estimated about $26 million. That's all in. That's also startups, smallwares, startup costs. Construction costs, which is what we want to talk about today, is estimated to be about $20 million. Sidestepping again, this has been an effort that has been ongoing since 2016. In 2016, that estimated cost was $16 million. The longer we wait, the more expensive it gets. 4 years, and this is important for us all to know. From the time that funding is secured, it will be 4 years until that door is open. Part of that is a year to go through. We're a state institution. We have to go through the Commission for our Higher Education approval, the State Fiscal Accountability Authority for approval, the Joint Bond Authority, even if we don't bond for approval. That would take up to 18 months. Once that approval is secure, then we go to ground with building of the school. 5.7 million. Once this is built, once we're operational, that is going to be the annual economic return on this investment. We did our homework with this one. We always do our homework, but we also did with this one. We brought in a national firm to do an economic impact study of the Regional Workforce Training Center. We are looking for council to invest. We are looking for the industry to invest. We wanted to make sure that it's worthy of your investment. Construction support request. Our objective is to secure construction support by June 30th of this year so that the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center is open and operational by the end of year 2027, if not sooner. But that's the runway for this kind of effort. Total construction cost, $20 million. Last year, with the support of members of our delegation, the state provided, also in collaboration with county leadership, the state provided $10 million towards the construction. Conversation with county leadership was cooperation. What can we do together to make sure that this happens? The college, we have workforce initiative funds, and we had this meeting with the president's cabinet last week, and the college is setting aside $2.5 million towards the build, and we're asking council for the remaining need of $7.5 million, so we can get that $20 million and start the process of going towards construction of the Regional Workforce Training Center. We tell you this is one of my favorite slides. The Regional Workforce Training Center is investment adding to investment. I use the term compound investment, and I know Councilwoman Tabb, I'm using it incorrectly, but I'm kind of playing with it a little bit. Beaufort County invests in Beaufort County School District. Beaufort County invests in the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation. It's Beaufort County School District, the Technical College of the Low Country, and the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation that drives economic development here in our area. We need to encourage and attract and incentivize our graduates from the Beaufort County School District to come in to education and workforce training locally. There needs to be jobs that are financially healthy, financially rewarding, that have futures with them. We can't have those jobs. Beaufort County Economic Development Corp can only do its job if there is here workforce training for those businesses to come in. We can't talk theory about it. They need to be able to come in and see it, touch it, look at it, know that it's real. We can't just sit around a conference table and talk about it in theory. For us to attract these businesses and these industries, they need to know that we're actually doing it. I want to hand this over now to Laura Dukes. One of the things that she's going to talk to you about is current initiatives going on with the Beaufort County School District. You're an investor in Beaufort County School District, you're an investor in the college, you're an investor in the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation, and we want to make sure you know how we are synchronized and collaborative and how that investment builds on.
Thank you, Rayleigh. Madam Chair and County Council men and women, I thank y'all for having me today. I get to talk about the exciting part to me, because this is the things that we look at for the future of this county and the state, to be frank. We have already, as you know, created and invested in a lot in our cybersecurity program. that is very successful in its first year of operating here at the Mather campus. We have 53 students. We have 10 graduates who will be graduating in the spring. We already have 2 of them that have been hired in remote locations for over $90,000 apiece. And so that is a great success. We look to replicate that at the Arthur E. Brown Regional Center. We are working closely with the Beaufort County School District at this very moment in creating other early college opportunities that involves computers as well as the applications involved in rebuilding things like a robot. And information technology and CPT, that is a wide open field. We are adding an AI certificate as we speak. We are looking at a robot technician because that is now what is necessary in our warehouses, along with, as you see Amazon, you see the little cute little white, guys going around. Well, they get hurt too. And so we're going to create people who can fix those as well as our nurses do for those in the hospital. We are also taking that third prong, which is our business and accounting and entrepreneurship, and want to expand that in that area. We are looking at logistics, which you have all heard of. Supply chain and logistics is a very popular program. We have just put it up, but we would see it expanding over in our regional workforce center. The other nice thing about having these 3 prongs together in one building is then a student can actually enter into all 3 or pick and choose from one. They can do a cybersecurity certificate, they can add an entrepreneurship certificate to that, and they can open their own business. Because we want to be aware of the fact that while we want to expand our larger industrial complex here in the Low Country, and it looks like that there is opportunity there, most of our employers are small businesses. And so we need to meet those needs, and we need to create more small businesses, because as we go forward, that's the backbone of the workforce in any location. We have a lot of specific programs that I'm very excited about and happy to tell you more about if you'd like to ask questions about them. We're looking at, as I said, robot technician. We're looking at electrical technician, the journeyman electrical technician, electrical controls, mechatronics, advanced manufacturing that's involving composite types of workforce training, and then finally commercial refrigeration. Those are just a few of our ideas. We have a lot more coming on, but I'm happy to answer any questions about those programs, provide you more information about the college itself. Once again, we are in a great partnership with Beaufort County School District. We have over 700 dual enrollment students at this time. We see that expanding, and we're going to continue to offer what we can to enhance our workforce.
I'm gonna open it up for questions, please. Yes.
Mary Lee, you and I met with the delegation a while ago. Where do we stand with them besides the 10 million that they are proposing now? Are they looking to provide additional funding in this coming year's budget?
So I talked with Bill Herb-Kurzman last week. Oh. And this was after talking with Councilman Reese and Councilman Bartholomew and some other council members. What Representative Herb-Kurzman told me is that they do not have the revenues in the state that they did last year, and we all are aware of that. And he does not think there's going to be any additional monies, from the state. I would tell council, and what I think council already knows, council and the Technical College of Low Country have really good relationships with our delegation. We're honest, we don't ask for what we don't need. They know we're not going to, if they get correspondence for us, it's worth reading because we're not corresponding with them all the time, only when it's important to do so. When Representative Herb-Kurzman tells us that there's not going to be any additional dollars, we can take him on his word, for that. The 10 million last year, I think, that's sitting there waiting for us to secure more funds. But no,
Okay. Has any of the design work been done for the building?
That's they're doing it right now. So you saw the pretty pictures. Mm-hmm. and we actually just got them today. But to refer back to John and Hank, we met with the architects, and actually we've met twice with the architect. And with their help, They are designing a building based on most of the programs that Laura has outlined for you, and also with flexible space. You know, so we can kind of, I want to say, plug and play needed training as businesses come in and need to kind of go into startup training.
I would add, Joe, as you know, there's several phases to architecture. We can only go so far really until we're to a point where we've spent too much on architects until we know we've got full funding for the project. We've got the site work surveys done, we've got the delineations from the Army Corps of Engineers finished, we've got the preliminary design pretty well in hand, ready to start the document design phase. And out of that phase, we'll get a solid engineering estimate. We feel very good about this $20 million being able to get us the building that we need. And I know the price that she mentioned was $26 million. The other $6 million, we know that we're going to be able to raise from work with the private industry, work for equipment, capital campaign, and we're gonna go around and talk to our neighbors too about helping in this effort.
Happy with that $6 million.
That's $6 million piece.
When we were all talking about the building of the Culinary Institute of the South, in those early conversations, it was often mentioned, you know, how is the industry participating? And the comment was, the industries are not, nor really can they be, the financial leaders in projects, like that. But once the college and council and the community, once it was known that the funds were, we had the funds to go forward and start building of the Culinary Institute, then we had industry participation, and it's worth mentioning here. Montage Palmetto Bluff gave $200,000. Sea Pines, the same. U.S. Foods, $100,000. Surge Group, $50,000. And it continues, that support continues. So when we talk about needing the funds to, the type of funding to go to construction, that gives confidence for those industries to step up. Joe Mingledorf, Mingledorf Incorporated, some of you may be familiar with that. Mingledorf is on our board. They have given us the equipment for the Mingledorf HVAC lab that is currently at the New River campus. That is going to be enlarged at the New River campus, and folks like Mingledorf will be providing equipment. So those are examples of how, kind of the larger community will come, will participate in this.
Any other, yes, sir, Councilman
Thank you.
Cunningham.
Couple questions. Do we know how much Beaufort County donated towards the culinary school?
I know exactly.
Good question.
Yeah, 8.243 million.
So it was 8.2?
Which, by the way, was part of a bond process.
But it was 8.2 of ours, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And then you guys bonded it? Or did we
No,
bond?
you bonded.
You bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 5 million of that came out of the ATAX.
So how many, you guys gave numbers on your students, and I saw on the last slide, we had a lot on there for Beaufort County. How many of your students are from Jasper County?
Oh, I want to say
Or percentage-wise, if that works too.
12, 13, maybe up to 15.
We have 4 counties, Carlton, Hampton, and Jasper County make up about 20% of our student population.
With Jasper being the largest of those 3
Right.
neighboring counties.
And I'd say that would be my biggest focus. So that is gonna be one of the worries for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, is Beaufort County is getting stuck footing the bill for Jasper County left and right now. They just approved more homes in Jasper County, and we're gonna get stuck with that on our roads. And this is another thing why we're bringing up a transportation referendum, because we're continually paying for the things of our surrounding counties. I'm for the project. I can understand why this is a need here. It doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. I know it sounds great when we say Sea Pines and Palmetto Bluff donated money. Of course they wanted to. They want the area to continue to grow because they make a ton of money off that. So that doesn't surprise me as much, but I guess my question would be is, at what point us on council, or you guys, or even USCB, whoever it is gonna start holding Jasper County to the same light that we hold Beaufort County to?
Actually, we always do. They're asked every year for that. They were asked for the culinary. We have a meeting, well, we requested, a meeting, but where we really see Jasper coming in, Jasper's not a leader, Jasper's a good follower. And we see that 6 million being a contribution from Jasper. Jasper does prefer capital projects than anything else. So we think that they're going to, resonate to this. Can we be confident? If we wait for Jasper to build this building, we won't have this building. If we build the building and then ask Jasper to contribute to that 6 million, we think we will. We think they will.
And that's exactly the answer I figured we were gonna get, and that's where I sit between the rock and the hard place. Is because we get put in the same position every time, that if Beaufort County doesn't do it, it's never gonna get done. So we gotta put it on the burden of our taxpayers to make something happen for the surrounding counties. The fact of the matter is, they just approved 4,000 homes, and the jobs are here in Beaufort County, so we're the ones that are gonna have to supply the labor force to fulfill the needs of those homes, even though they're collecting the tax base of the homes itself or property taxes. So this is where I get stuck between a rock and a hard place with projects like these. I love TCL. I'm a firm believer that there should be multiple outlets for education, a four-year institution, technical college, or even trade schools. This country wasn't built on people just going to four-year degree, if so, it's gonna crash and burn. So I'm all for it. But I would like to see that same push, not just you guys, but all these people that come to us, the same push towards these surrounding counties as well. So that is a big concern of mine, to be honest. I don't know if it's this one or it's the future, but I'm not sure if did they even donate to the culinary school?
Not to the culinary
They did
school.
not donate. They give us a smallish annual appropriation.
The challenge with the college, and actually in Beaufort County Council, you feel this too, is the bifurcation between Beaufort County and Jasper, Hampton, and Colleton counties. And it would be no revelation that activity that we do in Beaufort County and at our campuses in Beaufort County carry the day and, support what we do in Hampton and Colleton counties. That's just the economics of it right now, and that's not going to change in the near future. But that's a challenge. We have that challenge the same way council has when you're talking about about the housing.
They love annexing property out of here, though, any chance they get.
Okay.
No, Tab.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever go to the developers? I may be a bit naive, but you have Pulte, you have Minto Group. They're building these houses left and right. Do developers ever contribute?
They do in small ways. They're not going to build a building. But
They just have to give money. They don't have to build the building. They just have to
They
give
do,
money.
yeah, they do, yeah. And those would be the folks that we'd be going to, that's why I use the culinary school as an example. Once an industry knows we're looking and serving that industry, then, Brian Esposito Construction, he's coming on our board. The more they see us moving towards serving their industry, the more they step in towards us. And that's just like it happened with the culinary school, will happen with the regional workforce training center.
And if I may, this particular project is more oriented towards those developers with building construction, HVAC, commercial refrigeration, those types of programs will be more appealing to them and hopefully increase their donations.
Well, I was talking about the big developers.
The ones that build
Pulte,
and then leave.
Minto, that are building 9,000 homes. Yeah.
Well,
It's
no,
not
wait,
big parcels.
no, should I forget, and hope they're not listening, Southeastern. Southeastern Development Corp., which is the big monster. They owned the land where the culinary school is. They did not give it for free, but we got it at an exceptional discount. Southeastern is the developer of all the Krogers. Mark Stand and their name may have changed, but a lot along that 17 corridor is owned by Southeastern.
But we will be asking them, we'll be asking them all, and we are meeting with Jasper next week, start talks about what they may be able to do to help us.
Councilman Glover?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Contrary to what you may think, I really do love you all. I would say that that ever since I've been on council and you have come before us, you've been very specific about what your needs are where you're going, your vision. And the culinary program is an example of that, and I was glad I was a part of that. And this conversation about the building that you're talking about now, I think you talked about it about 2 years ago, putting it on that site. And I was really waiting for something to come before us. And now you have that before us. So, the question becomes, and even with the council and trying to create the avenue to assist in this, how do we do that? And how can we do it over a period of time, a year, not a year, but 2 or 3 years? Because construction is not gonna happen until later, and the bills are gonna have to be paid. So it may be starting now and then over a period of time, having those funds available.
Mr. Glover, the only thing that we require and need for the state is what we had for CIS. They needed a commitment.
Yeah, got you.
That money was gonna be forthcoming.
Yeah.
And once they had that commitment that it was gonna be forthcoming from the county, they allowed us to go through the process
Of
that
getting
they
things
had
done.
until we could get to construction 2 years from now.
Got you.
You know?
The other thing is that, and I want to talk more about your program, not the funding now. I think that's a done deal, because I truly believe that a saying that where much is given, much is required. So that's my heart. But with your program, I can't find a good plumber. So just want to just throw that on the table.
Somebody to know
I can't
somebody.
find a good plumber in my community. So let's keep that in mind. The other thing is that, and I know you're probably doing it, but just, I want to hear from you. Small businesses is the heart, and I agree. And there's a need for a lot of programs, particularly in the business area, that's almost catered to them, in that they may not be able to come to your class from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But they gotta do it in the evening. And because they're working mothers, we got quite a few working mothers out there working that really got childcare to deal with, but they can probably be online. And I'm just wondering if that's some of the opportunities, or you're doing it now, so I can pass that information on.
We are doing it now. We have developed we call the hybrid flex classes, which are our new modality, in which there can be a classroom in which there's an instructor standing. That classroom is Zoomed at the same time, at that time frame. It's called synchronous learning for students who can watch from home. We also record that class, and then we upload it to the internet overnight, so that those students who cannot come to class or cannot be there at that particular time have access to the class, and so they can do it at their leisure. It's also fabulous for students who have to miss classes. Our students are not traditional students. They have childcare, they have illness, they have sick parents, they have car trouble, and we know that. And so this allows those students to catch up at night. And most of our classes are now shifting to that mode. We do have just purely online classes, but we do find that there are some learners who really benefit from having that classroom opportunity, be it via Zoom or watching it online. They benefit from that interaction. So that's what we have instituted. Started in cybersecurity, interestingly, and have moved across the campus.
I will pass that on.
And I would add to that, Mr. Glover, that my commitment is to maximize, where we can, evenings and weekends. So those people who are working can come after work, or can come on the weekend, and get that hands-on component that they need.
Yep. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, can I-
Tom has a question. I'll let him go ahead of me. Go ahead.
I don't want, Madam Chairman, I don't want to cut you off.
No, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Richard, Laura, and Mary Lee, first of all, thank you for being with us. You all know that I've taken some time to be at the culinary school for a tour, to meet with you personally, to listen and do an awful lot of reading. And I'm going through this rendition to where the Arthur E. Brown facility is going to be. in this last year being on council, it's been fast and furious what we've learned. And one thing that I've learned is that staffing, no matter where you go, is a major issue. And I think that's one of the things you're going to address systematically. You started that now, but I would have to imagine that fella sitting behind you, John O'Toole, would have something to say to the effect that with this new center and the focus on these type of jobs, that would help him on an economic development perspective. And I think it goes hand in hand. And John, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, sir, but I think you may have something to offer here in a sense of what I've been learning the last year is that, number one, there's very few parcels in Beaufort County that we're going to build these type of things, businesses on. Flying cars, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that I think Beaufort County can be known for down the road, if we come together and do this properly, is that it's going to be one of the top training centers in the country. And I think you three right here, all four of you right here, are on the cusp of this that can put Beaufort County on the map for the long term. And, unbelievable what we can do to train people and the retention rate. I'd like to hear that again. What kind of percentage of that retention is left here in Beaufort? And many go out, so there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to learn about what Beaufort County does. So, John, please.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you all. We had done a survey before the Converge Summit, and the public policy got a lot of good grades on environment, and we heard about that early in this meeting. In terms of the programs at TCL today, positive, USCB and the K through 12 program. On workforce training, we were told by at least the 100 participants, we had 400 people at the conference and 100 filled out a survey. There's kind of higher, I'm trying to put this politically and kindly, but the public said it was 42% saying that more needed to be done in skills training. As you know, workforce housing, 68% thought it was negative in terms of workforce housing. And as the chairman kicked off the morning, there was 73% more needed to be done in the way of transportation. So the work that you're doing already seems to be responding. Over the past year, we had 2 site selectors in Mr. Ratchford, and most recently Sarah White spoke at the Converge Summit and spoke about how areas that do exactly what the Technical College of the Low Country is proposing to do and respond appropriately are going to be leaders. And it doesn't mean that we are going to attract a Boeing or a Gulfstream. We're going to stick with what we've been doing. In our meetings and our brainstorming, Hank Admonson participated. We think that TCL is on track with targeted training that can respond quickly to the employers that we're bringing into the region. And I think the cybersecurity efforts by the Technical College of the Low Country exhibit that kind of ability to respond quickly to the needs of a changing world. And over time, when Lockheed Martin needed a response from the Technical College, they've always been quick to respond. But we do think that the efforts being put forward here are going to help Beaufort. And we also think regionally, I know the chairman does as well, and I think council does as well, it's going to benefit our neighbors as well. So it'll, again, have us in the fore as a regional leader. So I think it's a great project and happy to speak on it. And if at some point you want us to bring employers in to talk about their needs, we'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had just a couple of questions / comments. $90,000 salary for the two that have been through the cybersecurity starting. And your CDL program is always full. I know that from going to your board meetings. What does a CDL, no degree, a CDL license get starting salary? It's not a degree program, it's a technical program.
They're around 65,000
Starting.
to start.
I think I can top that too. I listened to, it hasn't been on the radio lately, but driving on the road, I hear Walmart advertising for $100,000 for drivers.
With the CDL starting. And like Mr. Glover, not so much a plumber, but electricians. You have to know somebody to get an appointment. And I think that goes to the need.
It's right there.
Right there.
Right there, is the need, and the additional houses that are being built in the out areas is becoming more and more competitive, and we already know in the medical field, it's getting more difficult because of the shortage and the additional people moving here.
This is a multiplier, this facility is a multiplier in the sense that allows us to
Free up
consolidate and
space.
reorganize and create additional space
In what
for
you have.
nursing programs and allied health programs in our existing facilities. So it's not just this building and the programs in the building, it's also other programs in the college that will benefit from this, so we can enhance and expand those as well.
Kind of the domino effect. I think council or some council members remember that it's been a vision of Dr. Goff for a long time to have the Beaufort Mather campus be, we call it a dedicated health science campus.
Right.
So to expand those programs in northern Beaufort County, they will also expand in southern Beaufort County, also.
And the 700 in the high school program, dual enrollment is fantastic. It meets our county's school district's needs, and Hampton County participates in that now too, right?
Hampton
They do.
Jasper.
And Jasper.
Yeah.
So I'll ask our chairman, what's next after this briefing that we got from them?
Well, now we have to find out how we come up with $7.5 million in our budget.
Okay.
You know, what means and methods can we do? And so that will be a big discussion. It's not if, it's when.
When?
It's sorely needed. If we want to be what we want to be, this is an integral part of what we need to do for the quality of life here. We know that industry is coming. We know that trained individuals, I had a young man go through my school district, and he wound up on life detention. He was that bad a student. But he knew that he needed a job, and he went for plumbing. And he came back, and he did the school project. And he said, I found out the dirtier you get in plumbing, the more money you make.
If I can, Councilman Logan, just to, I speak on behalf of the college and my colleagues here, that we, as we have always have, we will continue to be, we always meet and we will always ask those neighboring counties. Something that we likely find, that we found with the culinary school, and this was with the state. Beaufort County Council was the leader in making that happen. We had asked the state, they did not contribute. Once they saw it happening, they wanted to be a part of it. And they gave $3.5 million. And I think that's, some are early leaders and others are later adapters, and we're going to see that in this also. And I think particularly with Jasper County, more so with Hardeeville, I kind of think of Hardeeville more than I think of Jasper County as being one of the first conversations. And if I may, Councilman Reese, the fun fact you and I talked about, or that we had at lunch, that number is 72%.
Thank you. I remembered that. Thank you.
Yeah. And
appreciate
why that
that.
number is important is, and this is a national statistic. 850 new students, or 12% of them new to the Low Country. If we can attract a student, or we can keep a local student graduate from Beaufort County School District going into the Technical College of Low Country and then into a job here, that's what we need to do. If we can attract a new one in, we have a 72% chance of keeping him or her here. That is why we named the Culinary Institute of the South the Culinary Institute of the South. But if we allow our graduates to leave, if they go to Clemson or go to Penn State, we have a 72% likelihood they're never going to return because they don't need to.
Right.
So that's why as we look at workforce and there's a lot to the pipeline, and Laura and I just talk about this all the time. Part of this is, and we're talking with the school district and with the industries, that we need to show our local students the healthy jobs, the healthy careers that are here, because they don't actually know it. When we were in high school, were we really aware of the economic activity of our communities? No. So we're working with the school districts to, in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, to take them on those trips. Hilton Head Chamber has started an initiative to that, so they can see that in their own community, there are healthy jobs that they can stay here and they can get the training here and they can stay here and work and keep our workforce, because we can't replace it.
I would say it's not about convincing me if I think that it's needed or impactful. I 100% believe it is. But like, with all due respect to the chairman, like I don't sit very well just saying it's not when, it's not if, it's when. We're gonna find $7.5 million. That's not us doing our job properly, then that's just my opinion. Yes, I have no problem seeing if there's ways we can help or what the financial obligation is, but just because you ask for $7.5 million doesn't mean we say, yes, it's $7.5 million. Get the checkbook out. To me, that's not me doing my job or administrative staff not doing their job. Sure, could we do it? Yes, but is that still holding everybody else that's also benefiting from us? I mean, the state gave $10 million. You want us to give 75% of what they gave. The entire state gave $10 million, but Beaufort County's supposed to do 75% of what they did. I have a hard time with that. Could it be done? Yes, but it could also be done on the Jasper side. It could also be done with the town of Hardyville. And so I'd like to see those conversations happen, and whether it is us talking to them and advocating for you to get that done. I think the project's great, but every time, if we just said yes, every time somebody walked in with a great idea, we'd be blowing through tax dollars left and right. So I want to get the project done, but I think that us up here doing our job and going through the I's and dotting the T's, vice versa, that's the proper thing for us to do. I mean, the presentation's great, the material's great, the product is great, but, I mean, not to get like too political, but so is the UN, but we fund more of the UN than we should as the United States, while other people are benefiting it more than we do because we don't even really use them. So, I mean, I just think those are conversations that are healthy and they need to be had, and it shouldn't just be a nod of the head and a yes to get something done to get it done. I'd like to see it break ground. I'd like to see the funding be there and everyone else to follow in. But domino effect, they can come from more than one locations and meet in the middle. And that's what I would like to see happen to get this done.
Well, our commitment to you is we will make that ask, and we will do our best to bring that additional funding in for this project. But our other commitment to you is that this project at $7.5 million is a lot of money, but I guarantee it'll be a good return on that investment for Beaufort County alone. So we want to prove that to you.
Which is why we wanted you to know what that return on investment is. That you get that back almost right away.
Okay, all right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a beautiful building, rendition of a building.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is. I do want to see that, so I'm just letting you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we've got two more items, and they should go pretty
Thank
quickly.
you.
The first one, I think Ms. Ward's gonna come up and talk to us about. This is number 9. Recommend approval of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to execute the necessary documents to convey a portion of property owned by Beaufort County, located on Beach City Road, Hilton Head Island. In their packet is the location, and the sale will be deposited into the Rural and Critical Lands Bond Fund to be used toward future acquisitions by the Rural and Critical Land Preservation Program, and 30% will be reimbursed to the town of Hilton Head. Oh, you're gonna do it instead of the board, okay.
Sort of.
Stephanie Hagan.
Madam Chairman?
Well, let her talk a little bit, unless you,
That's fine.
well, you need to open it up. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any questions, discussion?
I do have a question.
Oh, good, okay.
Who actually found the discrepancy that this person put their driveway there? I know it's an ugly question.
It kind of came from the town, from the property owner.
Brittany found it?
It was brought to our attention that there was a driveway located on this property. It was then reviewed by both staff and the legal department and determined that the driveway was in fact there prior to our closing, our original closing.
Yeah.
That original closing did occur prior to either one of these staff members being here.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? This is a cleanup, so to speak? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Without objection, this will go forward. Does it need to go to next level?
Yes, ma'am, it does need to go. It is an ordinance.
Okay, thank you. All right. Last on the agenda is recommend approval to purchase a new 36-passenger bus.
Madam
Impact.
Chairman, I would love to put that motion on the table.
Okay.
And have the
I'm gonna yell at-
administration come forward, but I would love to put that motion on the table.
The cost is $188,760, and we have a second. Did you make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Ms. Tavernick. Any discussion or questions for,
I am,
okay,
I think that, Mr. Robinson is there,
there it is.
I
There's
can
pictures.
tell you that, I want to first of all thank him, for finding such a nice vehicle.
Brand new.
And it's, something that, will represent this county well as the seniors go in their respective places and stuff. So I just want to
Yes,
say
sir.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I think Ms. Tavernick has a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
do. So I was interested to see that the current one we have, we bought in 2002.
Yes.
Which is literally ancient as far as I'm concerned. But it only has 76,000 miles. And we're getting rid of it because of, quote, prolonged periods of inactivity and lack of maintenance. That doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling. But my other question is that something we can, when we move to this, they could purchase and we can go through this? Fleet management, why would we do it now?
Well, we need it now. That's why we're buying it now. So I think the previous bus was not purchased in 2002, but is a 2002. It was, we have two of them. They were both used vehicles, not very good quality. We saved a lot of money when we purchased those, but they haven't turned out to be serviceable. One of them has been reasonably in service, the other's been in shop more than we've had it. So we can get rid of both of those vehicles from the fleet, whether we repurpose those or sell them. One of them might be parts at this point. Our senior services really need a reliable vehicle to use, and this is gonna get us there.
And Mr. Cunningham reminded me I will not be able to drive this.
Maybe, we can get you to TCL for the CDL driving program.
She can ride in it, she ain't driving.
That's a classy
All of us
license.
could
It's
ride
a
it.
single axle, 26,000 pounds, so that's just a driving test away.
I'll drive my little SUV. I'm good.
No, the seniors really need a good quality vehicle. Putting them in this new vehicle, they need it now. They need it a while ago.
Any other questions or comments? I'd just like to say this is great. I know the senior citizen program is just taking off like crazy, and this will only help.
It
that
will.
program.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, without objection, this will go forward to the next step. Yes. Yes, let's go on, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it has to go to council?
What did you say, Mr. Kevin?
Yeah.
I think the committee is under 200, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
This is
Okay,
approved.
we can do it then, it's approved,
So,
even better.
Right.
Celebrate, thank you.
correct.
All right, this meeting is adjourned, and we will reconvene for county council at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess you're gonna stop.
No,
Oh, good.
no,